All right. Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about just some raw and real world marketing strategies. I'm going to tell you some stories from my own experience, things that have worked for me, things that haven't worked for me. And hopefully along the way, you'll learn a thing or two about how to market as a therapist in private practice. This is going to be more of an uncut video. I just decided to turn on the camera today and talk to you about what I know. I have a lot of other videos about marketing as well, so feel free to browse through those on the channel. But today I was just sitting here kind of thinking about, what do people ask a lot when it comes to private practice? And I think one of the main questions I get asked and I see people asking is, how do you get more clients? How do you market? And I think basically people are just trying to figure out like, how do you get new clients, right? And I think this is most acute for people just starting out. Makes a lot of sense, right? You start your private practice, you need clients, and in the beginning it can feel really slow. It can feel really scary. Like, should I really have done this? Am I going to get clients? Am I going to fill up? I can remember feeling really overwhelmed and quite anxious when I first started. So today, one of the things I want to do, in addition to teaching you some things, is hopefully ease the worry, because to date, I have not met any therapist who has not filled up a caseload, although it happens at different times for people. I've never met a single therapist who had to stop pursuing private practice because they weren't able to get enough clients. Hopefully that helps a little bit, but let's jump in here. So I have my screen. I'm going to share that with you in just a second. I think that's pretty cool, right? I can share my screen with you. But I'm just trying to think. Should I start with personal stories, or should I start with the strategies? You know what? Let's start with the strategies, and along the way, we'll share stories. Okay, so let me see. Let me share my screen with you really quick. Now, please forgive me. I'm going to share my screen so I can type. I'm a really bad speller? I'm a really bad speller, so please forgive me. But let's go ahead and show you what I'm looking at. All right. So here's the marketing strategies, and I want to talk about. I guess we're going off the cuff here. All right. So I'm going to think about the first kind of category. I'm trying to think of how to do it. Let's do it this way. All right. Let's talk about it this way. So we have directories, okay? I think this is a good way to talk about it. All right, so we've got directories. Now, directories are going to be your standard platforms like ALMA has a directory, Headway has a directory, PsychologyToday obviously is very popular. ZocDoc, we can call that a directory as well. And essentially a directory is, and I think you know this, right? A directory is obviously where a whole bunch of therapists list their practice, your profile, and then clients or potential clients go to the directory and they search for a therapist, and hopefully they stumble across your profile and click contact, and then that's how you get linked up. So now my opinion about directories, I'm sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. That's kind of rude. Let me get rid of that. See, I'm not even going to cut that out of the video. All right. So directories, in my opinion, are good. I think they have a very good, like the cost of them is low in comparison to what you earn in return. So for example, a ZocDoc, they charge you per client booking. PsychologyToday, I think, is like $30 a month, something like that. But obviously, you only need to secure 1 or 2 clients to make the difference up. So in that regard, they're a really good investment. The other thing about the directories is you don't need to necessarily constantly, fix them or work on them. You kind of write them up once. And then, of course, you have to make tweaks from time to time if things aren't really working well. But then you kind of just let them sit and they stay there. And so my encouragement to people is always to list yourself on, you don't need to list yourself on every single directory, but at least be listed on a few of the most popular ones. In my opinion, ZocDoc, PsychologyToday, and ALMA and Headway are some pretty popular directories, right? So that meaning a lot of potential clients will go to those directories to look for therapists. You really want to be found there. Now, the thing about directories that people get really frustrated by is that they're not totally stable. right? Meaning you might get, this is all, this is not real world numbers here, but we'll give you some rough estimates. You might get, let's say, I don't know, maybe 1 month you get 5 to 7 referrals from one of these directories, right? And then the next month you get like 1, or 1 month you get 10, and the next month you get 3. That's kind of how the directories work. Some are more consistent than others, but a directory is never going to be like totally consistent. It's not a magic. I'm looking at this camera. I'm talking. This is the camera I have on. So you just have to know that, right? So people sign up and they get really frustrated because they're not getting many referrals from a directory. I do think that if you're patient enough, a directory can certainly fill up your practice, but it's not the only source I would depend on, and that's because they are inconsistent. For example, a few months ago, I got a good number of referrals from PsychologyToday, and then over the past month, I've had very little, right? And so you don't want to put all your eggs in these baskets here, but I think this is like a great starting point for people. Low cost, high return, but not much consistency. All right, but that's I guess bucket number 1 is directories. Let's think about bucket number 2, which we can, and this is, this one is people kind of give me a deep sigh when I talk about this one. I was thinking about sharing it last, but I think there's a story here, so I want to share it with you. And this is going to be networking. Now, before you shut this video off, I don't necessarily mean like cold calling doctors' offices or anything like that, although it can be part of it. But let me kind of share with you kind of a story about this and why I think that this is, it's not I would not pursue this like hardcore. I wouldn't go all in on networking because it is a bit antiquated and doesn't always yield the best results, but I don't think we should write it off. All right. So we kind of have, we could say cold emailing or calling. I mean, that's one strategy. Right. But again, that's one, like if you have extra time, maybe give that a try. But then networking might be with former colleagues. Maybe it's, kind of connections that you have. Look, I can't spell this word. I don't know, close connections, this kind of thing. So let me tell you a story about this. So former colleagues, I used to work in a doctor's office. It was one of my first jobs. And so I remember when I started my private practice, what I did was I reached out to those doctors and I let them know, hey, I'm starting a private practice. This is my information. I'm open for business. And I honestly thought that when I sent out that email to those doctors, it was going to flood in, just get tons of referrals. And to be honest, it was crickets, nothing, right? Like they responded, thank you, Matt, so exciting. This is really awesome. We'll be sure to pass on this information to our patients, right? And these are primary care doctors. They see tons of patients a day. I thought for sure this is going to be great, right? And then crickets, for real, like nothing, right? There were no referrals. However, I've maintained occasional contact with some of these former colleagues, just kind of updating them if my hours change or I hire another therapist. I don't go bananas like keeping them up to date, but every so often I'll stay in contact. So it doesn't require much work. It's just kind of like checking in, saying hello, I'm still open for business. And one thing that's been really cool about this is that it's not, the gates didn't flood open and it's not consistent in the sense that I get like, X amount of referrals each month from this source. But, I've been doing this a little while now, and over the years, there has been some consistency with people. Like I'm still getting people that get referred to me from those doctors, right? It didn't all happen in the beginning, but over the course of years, I can count up a good number of clients who have come to the practice from those referrals. Now, some of them are a year later, 2 years later. But if you think about it, we're not just marketing for the immediate short term, right? But you want to do longevity. And so that one right there, like former colleagues and connections, although it might not open doors right away, over a long period of time, that could just be another referral source. And that's really, really cool. So sometimes I get a call from a client. They'll say, hey, I was referred to by my primary care doctor. And I'll realize it was one of the doctors I spoke to a while back, right? And so it's really, really great. So I think you don't want to close these doors off, but and I wouldn't again invest too much time in them, but they work. And just the other day, a client found our practice. How'd you find us? Oh, you're my primary care doctor. And I was like, wow, like that, although, yeah, anyway, you get it. It's really cool. I think that's a great idea to do. And then another kind of part of networking that people don't think about much are things like Facebook groups. And what I'm talking about here are kind of what is known as these ISO requests. I don't know if you've seen these before, but it stands for in search of. And basically this is when, a therapist might go onto a Facebook community. If you haven't been on Facebook, there's communities on there just dedicated for therapists, all sorts of support and things like that. And you'll see these ISOs, and it's basically a therapist looking for a referral for another. Maybe they have a client or someone they know, and they're looking for an open therapist. When I first opened my practice, I would say this one was like quick yielding results. So I would spend some time every day going on either a Facebook, or ALMA had this for a while. I think they still have it. And I would respond to as many ISOs that were appropriate. Obviously I wanted to make sure it was going to be a good fit. But I would sit there and respond because I was like, hey, I need to build out my practice. And a good number of clients would come through that way. A lot of hard work because you had to be on the computer, you had to be responding, you had to constantly be checking these things. But if you're looking for some quick results, this is worth, because it doesn't cost you anything but time. So if you're just starting out, you want to build up, start responding to some of these. Right? I think this is a great way to start building up the caseload with some pretty quick results. I had some success in that regard. And then, of course, as you start to build and grow, your need for more clients kind of starts to decline. You won't necessarily need to do that. But I think that's a good strategy for the beginning. So that's kind of the networking bucket. And now we're going to have, let me talk about this bucket here. This is going to be like, I don't know, this SEO and website. Let's just call it that. SEO and website, this is a huge topic people always want to know about. And just to kind of simplify it, SEO is what's known as search engine optimization. And this is where basically what you're trying to do with search engine optimization is you're trying to make your online presence, in particular, it's usually your personal, your practice website, rank on Google. And what that means is, what you're really going for is that when someone searches, I don't know, DBT therapist near me, you pop up on search results, right? This is like what everyone wants. They want their practice to show up on search results. And so this is another strategy, and this is not by any means a cheap strategy or a quick strategy. This is a long-term investment of both time and finances, is improving your SEO and building a good website. So if you're just starting out and you're looking for immediate referrals, this is not going to be the way to do it. But if you're looking to build a practice and kind of have that expand over time, and you're looking for your practice to really grow over time, SEO and website building is going to be a worthwhile investment. And typically what I usually encourage people to do is consult a company who specializes in marketing for therapists. I'll leave a couple links down below. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there. Some are really gimmicky and really kind of just trying to sell you this a strategy for an exorbitant amount of money. My strategy, my encouragement for people is set up a bunch of free consultations with companies, see who kind of feels right, kind of scope out the land. While you're doing those free consultations, learn a little bit more about what SEO is and what the company strategy is, and then, decide on a company that works for you. And the reason I can encourage people to consult a company is because SEO is like a job in and of itself, like building SEO, increasing SEO. It's not easy. It requires a lot of work. And even when you consult a company, part of their strategy is most likely going to be to have you do certain things. Maybe it's writing blogs or whatever, right? So, but I do think if you're in a place where you want your practice to go to the next level, you're really thinking long-term, a worthwhile investment, but also some risk involved, right? It's not easy to build SEO, and there's never guarantees. Okay, so that's SEO and website. Yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that's a good starting, because people will say, hey, build SEO by writing blogs. That's true. You can build SEO that way, but you don't want to just be aimlessly doing little strategies that you heard about randomly. You want to get a company who can this is why you write the blog. This is how you write the blog. It's not simple. And that's one thing I realized is that the SEO and that kind of thing, it's quite complex. So, engaging with another professional is going to be really, really helpful. There's two more buckets I kind of want to talk about. One of them is this can be kind of paired in with a website, but this is going to be, is my microphone syncing? My microphone is sinking to the ground. I've not had that happen. Let me tighten this up. All right. So the other strategy is going to be Google Ads. Okay, this is another thing people ask a lot about. Now, Google Ads, we could, what did I just do? We could bundle Google Ads probably into SEO and website. It's kind of all a part of it. But Google Ads are basically going to be an investment of time, not so much time. You most likely want to pay someone to do it. An investment of money to gain more exposure on the internet, right? Let me kind of explain a little bit more. So if you've ever gone onto Google and you've searched for something, you'll notice the first 2 or 3 results will say, I think they say ad next to it. These are companies paying for Google Ads. In other words, that company set up a Google ad campaign and targeted a particular audience. You happen to be part of that audience based on whatever you search for. And then because their site showed up in the paid advertisement section, you're now likely to see it and probably click on it. So if you're, you haven't built up SEO or anything like that and you want some quick results, Google Ads might be the way to go. Yet there are significant, I don't know if they're risks, but there are factors you gotta play into this. One is creating an ad is very simple in the sense that Google has made their platform, I think it's called Google Ads, very simple to create. However, it is very difficult to create well. And what I mean by that is I could log in right now and create a Google ad and a Google ad campaign probably just by following the online instructions they give you, but that ad will probably not work at all. So my suggestion for this also is to hire a company, and typically the company who does your SEO and website will also do this for you. But hire a company, I'm going to put this in caps so it doesn't get confused with the one before it. Hire a company to create a Google ad. Okay. Now there's a lot of things that go into this. They have to come up with search terms. They've got to do keyword research. There's a lot that goes into it, but you want to hire the company to create your Google ad. And then they'll do all the targeting and all that stuff for you. And that actually is kind of costly for them to create it themselves, right? So there's a cost for creating the ad, and then you have to invest in the ad itself. So once it's created, you then allot a monthly budget for it. Let's just say, for example, it's $500. And you might allot $500 to it per month. And then what that does is it basically, depending on how the ad was created, you are going to start showing up in search results. Let's say you create an ad for DBT, and someone searches DBT therapy near me, and then your Google ad pops up. They will click on it, and then they'll see your website. That's why your website has to be good, right? So you see the Google Ads is going to be kind of tied into the SEO and website building as well. But a lot of people think that they just turn on Google Ads or get one created, it'll be quick and easy, just like referrals right away. Not so, because they click on the ad, they go to the website. You got to make sure the website's good. You got to make sure the website is one that's written well, so the copy's got to be done well. Right? It's not just click and people sign up with you, right? This is not how it works. And then the other thing that people have to be aware of is that your location is really important. So I recently ran a Google ad for several months, and it didn't do. It did okay. I got a couple of referrals from it, but it wasn't great, and that was because I'm in New York City, and my Google ads are competing against massive hospital systems, and in reality, I can't really compete with them. When I say compete, if you can allot more money to your ad, it's going to get shown more often than the person who can't allot that much money. And you think about me by myself in a small group practice and something like NYU hospital system, their ads are obviously going to be shown way more often. So the competition in New York is fierce, meaning Google Ads wasn't the greatest strategy for me, but I did give it a try. Now, I've heard of people in smaller towns, smaller cities, Google Ads work really, really well. So this is something worth doing, but again, you want to have a company help you with it. And then I'm going to actually kind of tie in this last strategy. It's kind of in its own category here, but it's called Google My Business. Now this one is totally free to set up. You do want to set it up well. I actually have an entire tutorial about how to set it up. I'll leave that link down below. But Google My Business is a really good option because one, it's free, and then two, you will show up in Google search results. And that's really cool without having to pay for advertisements. So if you've ever searched for a restaurant on Google, like, I don't know, you search Thai food near me or Italian food near me, the map pops up, right? With a couple of restaurants, like right off the top of the, right near wherever you're located. So if you have a Google My Business profile, Google My Business is tailored for local businesses. So if someone searches DBT therapy near me and your practice, your DBT practice is located somewhere near that person, you could potentially show up on the maps, which is really, really cool. So I would encourage you to set up a Google My Business profile. This is a worthwhile endeavor. Okay, easy to set up, but definitely follow the tutorial. So I'll leave that down below. There's a lot of nuances to it. It's not too hard, but you just want to be careful not to use a home address or anything like that. So that's a great strategy that I would absolutely do right now. It's worth doing, but a lot of people are scared of reviews, so that's another thing. One thing I've learned from experience is you're more likely to get 0 reviews than you are to get negative reviews. It's actually hard to get reviews. So don't be too scared about the reviews. It's kind of part of the process. And I talk more about that in the webinar I made. That's free on YouTube. So I'll link that down below as well. So all that to say, there is not going to be one single method that just gets you clients right off the bat. You want to kind of disperse your strategies into different areas. And in my opinion, if you're able to, you want to kind of at least put effort into all of these areas at some point in time. This would be a good, I would say, array of strategies to invest into. If you're just starting out, I would suggest obviously signing up for directories, very easy to do. I would be networking, in particular doing this Facebook group, ISO request networking. And I would also set up Google My Business. If you want to get really specific, I would encourage you to sign up for ZocDoc. That's because it's really popular. Not for any other reason. A lot of people who are looking for a provider, they go to ZocDoc. Okay. So those are things I would do right in the beginning. Now, if you've been in private practice for a while, you're looking to go to the next level, maybe you're thinking going cash only, you might want to consider SEO website and Google Ads. And the way we would do that is by contacting a consultation company, or not a consultation company, sorry, a company who does marketing for therapists in private practice. Do your research, find a couple companies. I'll leave a couple down below for you to check out. But again, you want to do your own vetting and kind of do all the free consultations you can and go from there. And I would say I have dabbled in every single one of these areas. And the directories have been a good source all along. Again, inconsistent, sometimes more than others, but nonetheless, they will bring in clients. Networking, like I've told you the story, it still continues to bring clients into the practice. My SEO and website building, this one I'm still working on it. It's a worthwhile endeavor, but it's not easy. I live in New York City, so it's very competitive, but I continue to work on this. But I would say this one has been the most challenging, because it requires a lot of time, effort, and money. And then Google My Business has been great. I think this is really good. At the very least, it gives you a lot more local exposure, which is really, really cool. So these are some marketing strategies. I've been now chatting for 25 minutes, 24. My gosh. I hope you found this video helpful. If you want to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comments. But it's been great chatting with you. If you like this video and you want to join my consultation group, you can do that by signing up down below. I run an online community where people can log in and ask questions. It's hosted on Facebook. People ask questions. I review them by myself, and I answer every single one individually in great detail. A link to that will be down below. Other than that, have a great rest of your day. And at the very least, I hope this inspired you to thrive in private practice. All right, I will see you soon.